President Biden is now the first sitting president to visit the site of the 1921 Tulsa race massacre, shining a light on one of the darkest days in American history.
For much too long, the history of what took place here was told in silence, cloaked in darkness. But just because history is silent, it doesn't mean that it did not take place. And while darkness can hide much, it erases nothing. It erases nothing. Some injustices are so heinous, so horrific, so grievous, they can't be buried, no matter how hard people try. And so it is here. Only with truth can come healing and justice and repair. Only with truth, facing it. But that isn't enough.
Biden visited the site of the massacre where an estimated 300 black people were killed and an entire neighborhood known for its successful black-owned businesses was destroyed. Congressional correspondent Rachel Scott joins me live now for more on this. Rachel, we know that this visit was significant and historic in and of itself, but the president also promised to take action. He says to level the playing field for people of color.
Yeah, he used this as a backdrop to really unfold his racial equity plan. And so there are some things that President Biden is going to do using the powers of his presidency. He's going to boost federal contracts to minority-owned businesses by 50%. He's also going to roll back some of those discriminatory housing measures that we saw the Trump administration put in place. But a lot of what the president was introducing, we're talking about money here, $10 billion in federal funding for community revitalization. When we're talking about money to HBCUs, the historically black colleges, that's going to require the action of Congress. A lot of that is already baked into his Americans Family Plan, which is going to require Congress to act, Diane.
Now, Biden is also facing some criticism from black leaders, some of who say that he should be taking action on student loan debt. So what's the argument there, and how's the White House responding?
Yeah, the NAACP, not mincing words here, saying to the Biden administration, you cannot talk about racial equity in this country without talking about addressing the student loan debt. And when you talk to economists, they point to people between 30 to 35. This is really one of the biggest things that is contributing to the racial wealth gap between whites and blacks in this country. President Biden, as a candidate, promised to create a plan to tackle student loan debt. The White House has yet to produce that. So the NAACP putting some pressure on the Biden administration to fold that in. I will also say that the White House is facing some backlash here on not having a plan yet for reparations. The president has said that he supports a study on reparations, but that's not exactly just backing it outright. And this is really taking center stage, especially there in Tulsa, where the president just left. At 10:30 today, and just about an hour from now, you're going to have the descendants of the Tulsa race massacre, the few living survivors, and their legal team. And one of the biggest things that they are pushing for is reparations, Diane.
And Biden also called for June to be a month of action in Congress on what he calls the assault on the right to vote. So where does Congress stand on voting rights legislation?
This is going to be a significant challenge. There just is no way of getting around it. The Senate rules right now means that you need 10 Republicans on board to pass voting rights legislation. Chuck Schumer said that he's going to bring it to the floor, the majority leader there in the Senate, but they just do not have the votes. And there is even some internal struggle within the Democratic Party right now on what measure to support. You have Senator Joe Manchin. He does not back the measure that Schumer is going to be bringing to the floor. And nevertheless, you don't have 10 Republicans on board with that either. But you have the president yesterday. He announced that Vice President Kamala Harris will now be taking the lead. She's going to be in charge of pushing through voting rights legislation in Congress, Diane.
All right, Rachel Scott from the White House. Thanks, Rachel.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.